So last night I had the opportunity to visit the Stern headquarters to check out the latest Dungeons & Dragons pinball machine with a lot of other media guests. First thing we got to do was tour the factory. This was a little bit different though because they were actually doing some inventory, so it looked a little bit different than what people are accustomed to. After that, we went right over into the Stern party room to check out the Pro, Premium, and Limited Edition variations of the Dungeons & Dragons pinball machine, as well as have lead coder Dwight and Brian Eddy, game designer, discuss the inner details and kind of the makings and the thought process that went into this Dungeons & Dragons pinball machine. Go ahead and talk about the artwork. It's nice to actually have the Pro, the Premium, and the LE all side by side. That way you can kind of compare and contrast and kind of dissect what you like, what you don't like. The Premium has the Beholder front and center on it, and if you're not familiar with Dungeons & Dragons lore, you're gonna look at that and go, oh wow, they got Mike Wazowski from Monsters Incorporated on here. Not the case, but I can understand why somebody would make that mistake. The limited edition, I got Tiamat, the many-headed dragon on there, which is freaking amazing, and the Pro just kind of has a little mesh of all kind of major characters from Dungeons & Dragons lore. I lean more towards liking the Pro artwork myself, but the foil on the limited edition, of course, is a sight to behold in itself. It's out of my price range, so I'll just go ahead and kind of slide that off to the side. The one thing I do wish they would do on the limited edition is have red T-molding on the back box there. Everything else has, black trim. The limited edition has all this beautiful red powder coating on it, and then it has black T-molding. I just, OCD me wants to have that red T-molding to go with the red powder coating, but we're splitting hairs there. All the artwork is kind of dark, if you ask me, as far as the side artwork and the side panels and everything. It's not super dingy or anything, but in a dimly lit room or a barcade atmosphere, you'll probably kind of have to really squint to make out the details. But again, it is in line with the Dungeons & Dragons look. It feels, art style wise, right on brand with everything. Animations on the scoring display looks absolutely amazing. This is probably some of the best, if not the best, done animation that Stern has presented. There's a lot going on, and this is obviously very early code. I think it's like 0.80, so obviously things are going to be fleshed out later on down the road. But animations, there was a lot of vibrant things happening, very RPG-esque as far as what's going on the screen, which is very fitting of the Dungeons & Dragons theme. You got, your creatures that you're fighting, they're slashing at you. There's a blood splatter that goes on the screen when that happens. When you get attacked, you got hit points, you got legible scoring and everything. They did a great job on this animation. I don't think anybody that's been griping about Stern's animation work as of late is going to be disappointed with this animation going on. It's just a lot of great stuff going on, and I think they did an excellent job in that department. Let's go ahead and talk about shots and layout. My first impression as soon as I saw this and play this, I was like, wow, this is very similar to Labyrinth. And I don't mean that negatively or detracting. I mean that as an owner of Labyrinth, and if you put the shots and layouts side by side, you'll see they're very, very similar as far as their location and the presentation of. However, it's how those shots integrate with the ball and how the ball gets thrown around with those shots changes things completely. So I didn't feel like I was playing some kind of cookie cutter copy and paste of the Labyrinth playfield, but it is very similar, so I kind of felt at home as far as where I needed to shoot things. But again, side by side, you'll look and go, okay, top down, this is very similar, but how things work slightly different. So for instance, the spinner up the middle, Labyrinth is just a scoop that, subways to a different eject. Here, shoots it up to a vuck, goes up, feeds down to the right wire form, which is really, really cool. One of my favorite aspects of this whole shots and layout is kind of the feed from the Mimic box, which also kind of doubles as a kind of loot and store, if you will, similar to the Foundry on Mandalorian, where you can buy certain perks throughout the game. shoot it over into the far left over to that mimic box. It will again eject the ball over to the right flipper. It goes underneath the gelatinous cube, which has a magnet core, catches the ball on the top and the bottom. And the cool thing about it is once it shoots it out of that mimic box up to that upper right hand flipper, oftentimes that magnet will catch the ball, hold it for about a second, and then it'll slowly soft release it down to that upper flipper, which really allows you to kind of dial in and aim your shots for that inner loop, as well as that upper left hand ramp, which is very cool, great for novices. Makes you feel like a better player because again, you have that opportunity to wait, take a breath, and then fire your shot and aim. I thought it was really cool. It almost kind of in the same location as you know, the eject from 007, the James Bond, but it's not as erratic. Like I said, it cleanly fed it over up under that gelatinous cube and up to that upper third flipper every single time on this. All 3 copies I played, Pro, Premium, and LE, and I just thought that was a great design choice. And just, it's really good. Everything felt really smooth. The inner orbit shot from the upper right hand flipper was very smooth. High success rate on that. Going back to my Labyrinth comparisons, on my Labyrinth it's probably like 50-50. I'll shoot that same kind of inner orbit shot from the right hand flipper and it'll rattle around 50% of the time, either not go all the way around or come right back out. This one, almost all the time, if I hit it cleanly, going around, I was able to loop and combo it, and then hit up to the left hand ramp, come back down, left flipper, shoot another shot, come down, get a nice flow going, nice little rhythm, which is really great. There is some stop and go moments to this game, but I didn't find it to be intrusive. There'd be a post that would catch the ball, you know, kind of hold it for a mode to start and let you choose things. But it wasn't like every time I had a nice rhythm going, then all of a sudden a post would pop up or something would catch the ball. No, you could get multiple shots going over and over and over again and have, you know, a heck of a time playing this game. Dangerous shots. There's 3 stand-up gold targets underneath the dragon's head. If you hit those, chances are it's going to be firing right back down towards your flippers. Luckily, it didn't feel like it was a straight down the middle monster. But there are some caveats because there is a defense shield pop-up mechanism in between the flippers where you can activate by hitting the button. If it's illuminated orange, hit that button on the lockdown bar, pops up the shield for a certain duration of time depending on characters and whatnot. But it'll actually trap up the ball. You don't even have to have the flippers down there. It'll sit there and rest there for a while, and then you can, you know, fire off the shots. You don't have to worry about anything going on down the middle. During Dragon Multi-Ball, which is probably the moment, that's what Dwight is great for as far as codes, is coding a moment in a game. The Dragon Multi-Ball, if you don't know anything about Dungeons & Dragons, you just want to have a friend over that maybe you have this game and you want to show them something for the first time and get them interested in the game. The Dragon Multi-Ball is that experience. If you got a Premium LE, the Dragon will shoot 3 balls out of its mouth. The Pro, it won't. But you'll have balls going on crazy. You just look down and all of a sudden you get like 6 balls on a playfield and it's going nuts. Activate that shield. You don't have to worry about the balls draining so much, which is great because that Dragon Ball Multi-Ball mode works a little bit differently than a traditional multi-ball in that you're trying to hit the dragon head a certain number of times as well as not drain a certain number of times. So there'll be a counter on the scoring display where it says hit the dragon's head, you know, 8 times or something like that without draining 15 times, and I'll have a countdown. So every ball that goes out the out lanes or anything like that, it'll count down, okay, you've got 4 more drains left, 3 more drains left, and you want to hit the dragon more times than the drains come out. So it's a very fun mode, it's a very frantic, hectic mode, but it is made much more doable with that shield activated because you don't have to worry about those center drains. They did a great job on just the enjoyment factor. Like, I really enjoyed playing this game. A lot of cool features and mechs. Another one of the mechs is the pop-up dungeon crawl on the Premium LE. It's a physical mechanism that pops up, shoot the ball in there, catches it, activates the dungeon crawl mode, which is kind of a half mini video mode, half shots. So you'd shoot a shot and then it'll give you an option on the display. Do you want to go left? Do you want to go right? Do you want to go center? And then you would activate that with your left, right, flipper, or your center button. Make that choice. Those choices change certain things, so you'll go farther into the dungeon, or you'll land into a trap and immediately get kicked out, or you'll find the treasure at the end, which will reward you some sort of perk in gameplay. This is the mode where they've coded it to where every Sunday, if you're connected to the internet, it will reset the randomness to it, and you'll play a different dungeon every single week. So if you memorized, hey, I went left, right, center, and I got the treasure, well, a week later, if you do that same type of thing, it's going to change, and then you're going to essentially either die or get kicked out of the dungeon. Very cool, kind of adds to the replayability to it. One thing about that dungeon pop-up mech that wasn't really for me was on the premium LE. That's specific to it. On the Pro, you don't get it. It's just a little plastic. On the Pro, to activate that mode, you would just shoot straight up the middle, up to that spinner, up to that VUC, and it activates the dungeon crawl mode. But the mechanism itself, it pops up, you shoot the ball, drops back down, it holds the ball. There's no subway underneath. The ball doesn't go anywhere, kick out anywhere. Once you're done with the dungeon crawl, whether you fail it or succeed, it just pops back up and ejects the ball. That's it. I was disappointed in that. I thought there was more to it. I thought it would at least, you know, subway the ball somewhere underneath and then it would feed a different shot. But the fact that it just pops up, holds the ball, drops back down, comes back up, spits it back out when you're done, seems kind of meh to me. Really didn't see a benefit or advantageous aspect to it. It's not like a bash toy, like a troll from Medieval Madness or anything like that. So that was something I could live without. When it comes to the code, I think we're on 0.80 or something like that. It's really kind of an arbitrary number that they assigned to it. It's Dwight's most ambitious code ever. That's a specific quote from him. There's so much to this game. You got individual characters that we choose at the beginning of it. Each character has their own kind of attributes and perks. So a wizard will have more shield time. So when you activate that shield, it'll say pop up for another 5 seconds. You got a character that has more attack points against the dragons. When you're trying to do that dragon multi-ball, you'll have less required hits or something like that. Each character has their own kind of buffs and attributes, which is really cool, similar to Turtles, similar to Venom, but you know, kind of turned up a notch, if you will. Dwight described this as like Venom 2.0 or Venom on steroids as far as character progression. You can save all that kind of stuff with Insider Connected. You, in tournament play, don't have to worry about somebody having a crazy high character against a low character. You can turn it all off. If you just want to go bare bones, straight from the get-go with a clean character, there's one-shot modes to where you just start fresh with everybody. So there's things that, you know, competitively even the playfield if necessary, if you so wish. But again, it also has that saved character progression. You can build up all your characters, progress as you go along through the story. There's multiple stories, so there's 3 different endings, 3 different wizard modes. And once you complete the ending, you'll unlock a different character, so you can have up to, I think, 7 characters unlocked. And there was mention of maybe an 8th with a topper. Who knows? We'll see how that comes later on down the line. But everybody's going to have a different option, a different choice, a different path they can go down this. And you can all play the same characters. So if you all want to be a wizard, you can do that. Co-op mode. So I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of replayability in here. One thing to note though, like I said, this is very early code. I'd be surprised if this is actually what ships out. They haven't even started manufacturing this. Like I said, they were doing inventory in the factory, so they haven't even put this on the production line. I would suspect they'll get another small code update out for this game before it actually starts shipping to customers, because there was, you know, low-hanging fruit things that still need to be corrected. I think I saw 1 or 2 spelling errors on a couple of the screens. There was a section where the ball got trapped underneath the dragon's head and there was no ball search coded in there yet. Obviously that's something they're going to do. And the scoring was incredibly imbalanced. I think all of us were playing, you know, a lot of us who had a decent game were putting billions of points up, and that's not going to be indicative at the end game unless you're a really great player. So it's one of those things where it felt like, look at me, I'm so good at this game, but in reality it's the scoring was incredibly imbalanced, and they didn't know that, and they joked around and said, hey, you know, if you put a billion points on this, don't feel great about yourself, because we're still working on this for certain. So a lot of code to be, you know, implemented later on down the line, and as Stern kind of goes, it takes about a year to be fully fleshed out. But in its present state, there's tons of modes to play. All of them felt really unique. And one that stood out to me specifically was a specific mode where you were trying to like be sneaky and not be alerted to some enemies that were around you, so the playfield would dimly light, you know, have that kind of dark and eerie feeling to it. And the thing that you were not supposed to do, you're supposed to hit shots on the playfield, but you weren't supposed to hit the slings. So you didn't want the ball to hit the slings because that would alert the enemies. And each time the ball hit the sling, it would, you know, alert more guards and more people to come after you, and you would eventually fail the mode. Things like that makes for a fun, you know, atmosphere. It's on brand with the whole dungeon, sneaking around and, you know, defeating and attacking enemies. Things like that were absolutely phenomenally thought out. I love that code aspect of it, and I'll be, you know, very shocked to see where they go with this later on, you know, 6-9 months down the road, what this fleshes out. But for early adopters, you're gonna have plenty of modes to start out with. You're gonna have lots of things to see and explore. And I don't think you're gonna see and do it all and get bored of it in the first, you know, 30, 60, 90 days of ownership or anything like that. I think there's gonna be plenty to do for you early adopters, but if you're one of those people that wants to wait on the fence for the fully fleshed out thing, I think, as with most games, it'll take about a year for Stern to really get that dialed in. Another one of the great things of the coding is the voice acting cast. I mean, they got an amazing cast of characters. It's probably the biggest cast of characters of anybody, especially with the celebrity aspect of it, for any game they've ever done. You got a lot of recognizable talent out there, whether or not you're familiar with the Dungeons and Dragons Critical Role series. A lot of those people are over here. And I think they did a great job. They all, you know, add their unique blend of vocalization to those characters so they all feel unique. The dragon himself speaks and taunts you. The narrator does an excellent job. It sounds exactly like you're playing, you know, a Dungeons and Dragon game with their descriptive, what's happening, what you need to do in this mode, what's happening to your character, what you need to watch out for. It feels like, you know, you have a dungeon master describing the scene to you. When it comes to the Pro versus Premium LE argument, I think this is a very cut and dry, at least for me, argument that the Pro is the way to go on this one. Premium LE, the main difference is basically is your dragon goes up, down, left, and right on the Premium, which is cool. It makes it feel much more alive. But while I was playing it, the dragon, every time it would go left and right, it would actually block my visibility of that inner loop and that upper left-hand ramp shot, so its head would swing over and I wouldn't be able to see where I needed to shoot, and I would shoot blindly and almost always miss that. Debilitating while I was playing to have that dragon's head move left and right. But again, it does add to the alive aspect of a dragon. It feels much more robust in that nature. It is a fully molded head. It is not a 3D printed one. I know they did a 3D printed one in the early mock-up photos and they said, hey, we just needed to get something out there. But this thing is fully molded. It looks like it'll hold up. It's designed kind of like a pop bumper where you can hit it from any angle and it'll fill and activate a switch. So very cool. The other thing was that dungeon pop-up target. It's exclusive to the Premium LE. But again, that thing to me was just kind of a non-starter. I didn't feel it really added anything to the game. It's not a multi-functional bash toy. So I can absolutely live without that for certain. The Pro, like I said, the dragon just goes up and down. It doesn't go left and right, and you don't have that pop-up dungeon ball capture. You just have a flat plastic and you activate that mode completely different. I think it's a night and day. Yeah, save the $2,500 and go Pro if you're interested in this game. You're gonna get the exact same shots and layout, same gameplay. You're really only gonna miss a dragon going left and right, which ends up blocking your view during gameplay anyway, and a pop-up dungeon that doesn't really do much of anything. So, I mean, artwork-wise, I like the Pro. Gameplay-wise, again, save yourself $2,500 and go the Pro if you ask me. But through and through, it is a very fun, very flowy, very fun game to shoot and play. I don't know how many people are going to be out there that clamor for Dungeons & Dragons as an IP. That I have no sense of whatsoever, so only time on sales will tell on that one. I think they would have been a-okay just making this like a non-licensed IP, generic castle medieval theme, and it would have been super fun. But again, I understand why they go with licenses that are recognized, because they're also always trying to grow pinball as a whole. So how do you bring new people to pinball? You bring them via recognizable IPs. So one thing specifically, when this game was announced, I sent it out to my friends that I know specifically are big into Dungeons & Dragons. I was like, what do you guys think? And they're like, oh my god, that's the greatest thing ever. I wish I could own that type of thing. So I know it captivates the interest of people that are interested in Dungeons & Dragons that are not necessarily interested in pinball. So I hope it serves its purpose and it brings new people into pinball, because that's what we need. We need it to continue to grow over the years, otherwise it's just gonna wither and die. I think you'll have a lot of fun playing this game. Give it a chance if you see it out there on location. And guys, if you've already played it, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Is this the type of game you're interested in? Are you a pro? Are you a premium guy? If you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit that like button. Share this video with your friends if you found the information helpful. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. It really means a lot.